frontier of global development. It's the second biggest continent in terms of size in the world, the second biggest continent in terms of population. It's a continent that has the highest amount of natural resources. It's a continent that has vast uncultivated land, a continent with young population. 60% of African population today is young. But then it's a continent of mass poverty. Today, Europe, if I take Nigeria for example, Nigeria in terms of population is 50% of European Union population. You are about 450 million. We're over 240 million. So we over have 50% of your population. In terms of the land size, Nigeria, Europe is about 4-point-something million square kilometers. Nigeria is about a quarter of that. Just Nigeria. But when you come to in terms of wealth, while Europe have a per capita of over $40,000, Nigeria, which is over 50% of your population, our per capita is below about 2.5% of that of Europe. So you could see the potential, with all the resources, the potential for growth. The nearest continent to Africa, to Nigeria, is Europe. So if Africa today turns around, the biggest beneficiary will be Europe. If it collapses, the consequence will affect you more. And I believe that we have so many commonalities that we can work together and everything. And what is the problem of Africa? The problem of Africa remains leadership. To have a political leadership that is competent, that have the capacity, compassion, commitment, and character to be able to deal with issues of corruption, law and order, focus on investing in critical areas of development, which is health, education, and pulling people out of poverty. It was discussed here that we have issue of killings, which again, people can say is genocide, people can say is Muslim versus Christians and everything. Are they killings? Are they criminality? Are they kidnapping? Yes. But we have to look at the issues that are driving this. When you have a huge population, for example, Nigeria have over 100 million people living in multidimensional poverty. You have millions of out-of-school children, or those who didn't go to school at all. With mass poverty and mass uneducated people, you have room for easy recruitment for all forms of criminality, which is what is now driving us of killings that we need to deal with. And now we're moving around, I'm moving around and saying, we need support. We need you to help us to overcome this and be able to create a clear developing environment that will also benefit you, because it's a huge market for you. It's a huge advantage in terms of resources and everything if Africa, especially Nigeria, is doing well. It's the most populous country.
Honored that you are giving a speech.
Yeah, that was him toasting the European Parliament. But here is the thing. Everything that Peter Obi proposes to them there, including the data, information, and the rest that, Obi pointed out, they are not new to these guys. They colonized Africa. Have you forgotten? There is a reason why there is a rush for Africa. The main problem is that they do not respect Africa as they should by paying their own fair share of the resources they are taking from Africa, because it is by paying that fair share, investing in the environment that is so crucial to them. Africa is so crucial to the world. Let's be sincere. Mind you, somehow, just from the days of slavery, colonialism, neo-colonialism that we are now dealing with, the West have always been favored. The problem is that they've not been paying their fair share. Maybe not all of them, but in fairness, but we have examples of countries that, for example, the Burkina Faso. This is a mineral-rich country, a country that was supposed to be at par, if not better, than these oil Gulf countries, the Qataris, the Emiratis, the Saudis, the House of the Saud. Here you get. That's exactly how some of these African countries, because the population of Saudi Arabia, when you compare it, you realize that the entire population of Saudi Arabia may not even be more than 3-4 states in Nigeria combined. The population of the entire UAE is not up to that of Ogun State. Here you get, when you begin to compare them and you are like, imagine a whole country like Burkina Faso, with the population that is practically like less than 10 million or so. With their resources, they should be living like the people in Dubai. They should be princes and princesses, rich, living good, with beautiful country. Yes. France was exploiting these countries. It was that bad that France is one of the world powers. Sure you get? Yeah, I believe they are one of the world powers, right? But yet, for decades, French companies, multi-billion euro traded companies, they were making their resources or taking their resources that runs their own country and runs their own, economy. They are taking them from these countries. They didn't give a shit. They went as bad as worse as getting involved in their supposed government in the country. They've succeeded in not only assassinating head of state in Africa, these Europeans, they've succeeded in taking them out. They've succeeded in countless coups that changed government simply because the policy on mineral resources, trade, and all of that, Africa wants fair share. Rather than for them to say, okay, you know what, let's renegotiate it and give you proper share, fair share. They will change the government. They will kill some of them. They will initiate civil war. All of these are evidence. They are public. They are not things somebody is making up. They are public. So that brings it back to what Africa needs is just respect. And how do you end that respect? We've had African leaders who have attempted to actually boycott the status quo or challenge the status quo, but they just didn't last. It's always that, there will always be collaborators within your countries who are ready to do the biddings. That is, in fact, not in favor of your own people. They still sign that because they could get all their own share, paid into their private accounts in Europe. So Obi should know this, right? Among them all, the thing with Nigeria is that, the colonial powers, they were given their own fair share. For example, Shell, which is the UK company, right? And there's another one from, what is this one from America that was also involved in Nigeria, early stage, that were involved in the development of Nigeria oil sector. Yeah, they made a deal. And that deal was that as oil companies taking the crude oil from Nigeria, they will be taking about 40% of the crude oil. The remaining 60% this particular percentage will go to Nigeria, will take a 50 or 51% of the proceed. So that deal is not similar to the same deal, BP, Chevron, you see. That deal that Nigeria got from all these colonial masters or colonial countries is not the same like Burkina Faso. People said that they are, for example, right, they are taking, what is this thing that they are using in their, what is that called again? This, when they are building this, their atomic energy. And they also, the one this Elon Musk uses for is here on batteries. What is that called again? It's a very popular one like that. Please help me. Right? It's very kind of like, uranium. Thank you. I've got smart people here. Thank you. So uranium. So Burkina Faso, Niger Republic, they both have this uranium in abundance. And uranium is not just for atomic bomb, but they also use for atomic, to generate power. Now, this power, which powered some of these their plants in France, they have been taking that from Burkina Faso. They have been taking that from Mali. They have been taking that from Niger Republic, among other resources. Now, here is the thing. From what we have gathered, though, they said if you want to buy an ounce, or let me say a kilo of uranium, this is just for context, though. Maybe that's not how it is scaled, though. Don't get me wrong, but just for your own understanding, okay? When you say, how much is a barrel of crude oil? They will say, a barrel of crude oil is, for example, $100. So $100. BP, British Petroleum, will now pump maybe 100 barrels. For example, you know that 100 barrels times $100, that's 1,000, sorry, that's a $10,000, Abi. So when BP make that $10,000, BP will remove $4,000, remaining 6,000, Abi. BP will then take other money, that private taxes, this and that, all of that is coming to Nigeria. So let's say BP will now take $5,100 from that 10,000 of that 100 barrel of crude oil they sold. They will give $5,100 to Nigeria. They will take 4,000. So what happened to the remaining balance, I'm not sure, but it's kind of like part of the cost of the exchange and all of that. Sure, you get. That's how they are dealing with Nigeria crude oil. When you look at those who are stealing Nigeria other resources, now politicians go meet there with their French, British, German, American, Chinese, partners operating in those bushes. I'm just giving you those instances, right? Now that's Nigeria, your mainstay crude oil. In Burkina Faso, let's say uranium per kilo is $2,000 per kilo. Again, for context, though, sure you get it may not be measured in kilo or ounces, so I'm just using it for context. $2,000. Okay, so France, will give, it is like a ceiling. It's not negotiable. It's been like that for years. France will pay, let's say, $2, not 2,000 though, $2. If Burkina Faso is to sell that same uranium to another country, it will be like 2,000 per kilo. But France will pay $2 per kilo. Now that $2 is not going to be given to Burkina Faso. France will say the money will be saved for them in France as their foreign reserve. So for decades, the entire Burkina Faso's foreign reserve in France, as at the time Ibrahim Traore took over, was said to be 16 billion euros. This is the country that have taken money from the same country for over 7 decades. Burkina Faso is poor, underdeveloped, but rather than give the money to the country, they were giving the money to the politicians. So the politicians were taking their turn. They get bribed, they get paid, and they keep. Anytime any politician decided that no, you need to pay us more. Don't pay us $2, pay us $20. That moment, if a sanction comes from France, they will remove that person from power. Within a year, they will remove him. If anybody comes and say, oh, we are taking over our mine ourselves, we don't want France to do it anymore, within a year, they will remove that person. Ibrahim Traore is the only person that defied them and these other guys that have lasted this long. Until tomorrow, they still want to get rid of him. So now, you see the difference. So when Burkina Faso finally have access to mine their own gold, sell their gold and the rest of that, on social media, you will see countless, number of military equipment, infrastructural development going on. These are the things that will be decided in France. And if they say, we need to construct the power supply to the capital, it's not working well, France will tell them to come to France from Burkina Faso. All these guys will travel down there. France will now process a credit for them, a loan, not from their own foreign reserve. No. France will now say, okay, you know what, we'll give you 1.5 billion euro, but we'll first give you 300 million, 400 million, and this is coming from your foreign reserve. They will now add interest to it. This is true story. It may sound so, I will break something down so much that it will start sounding like, is this even real? Like you will understand it so much enough that you'll be like, hang on, if I get what you are saying, is this even possible? I say, well, it's possible. It happened. This is no longer a question of is that even possible? No. It happened. It is a true story. Nigeria said they have $40-something billion in foreign reserve right now, Abi. If Nigeria decided tomorrow that they want to take 20 billion from that money, it will affect some things. So Nigeria can take the money, I believe. But in the case of all these Sahel country under France, nah. Belgium still there. There's another part where Belgium, when you start going to Congo and all that, yeah? So that's why I said, if any politician from Nigeria doesn't know that Europe knows this Africa very well, here you get, and they are always scrambling for the resources, and not all of them have the plan to pay their fair share. So that then comes to the advantage that a country like Nigeria currently have. And that advantage is that somehow it's got its own little fair share than other countries. But here, the problem of the criminals in power, the ones that are ready to bend, the nails end over heel, just to get these dollars or euros and sell the country off, like you are currently witnessing, where Shaguri is the confidant or something to call you. And you know what that means? So Obi, who people believe that is either the experience at the state level. All these things are not new to him. Yes, you may say the national politics is different, but he is not a novice. He's had similar challenges. And he seems to have done well. Right? But yeah, was same with the Catholic, also the church in Oka, I believe, just about 2 nights ago as well. After that European day. So this time, it is just one of the, what do you call them? The Reverend Fathers, sort of like reminiscing on the time when Peter Obi's intervention saved not just the schools, but even the children in Anambra then. Let me add it, because it's part of it.
All the houses had leaking roofs. But by the grace of God, at God's own time, he sent this our brother, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, to be the governor of Anambra State. We cried to him and told him the society is being destroyed. We were producing anybody and anything except what we should produce. I cannot use this my mouth with which I consecrate our Lord to say what we were producing. But they know it was regrettable. But when the schools were given back to us, I promised him. They took 40 years to destroy the schools. give us back our schools. I give you 3 years. By the grace of God, we shall turn things around. And you will see a new Anambra State. By the grace of God, after giving us back the schools, after 1 year, Anambra moved from 30th, 31st, 36th position to the first